It's a MEAG-produced Sturmgeschütz. It was produced anywhere between mid-October to the end of October 1943. This was the 825th, from memory, vehicle that they produced, which puts it in as the 75th vehicle of October. It was pulled out of the Black Sea. It was pulled out in 2002, and we managed to get hold of it about just before Poland actually went into the EU, before let's say the earliest entrants went into the EU. Thereafter, I think it was about 2003, from memory. We brought it back to the UK, and it really kicked off 3 years ago, the project, because prior to that we had to go and collect all the parts, do all the research, do all the archaeological research, and all the photograph collection and everything to ensure that what we were restoring was actually what we actually had. And so we did that. So it's taken 3 years, and we've now finished.
Are you ready to go in? Can't rush it. It just has to build up.
About 85% of the vehicle is original. We literally used anywhere between 4 to 5 Sturmgeschütz in order to produce the one that we've actually restored now. Mechanically speaking, we were very, very fortunate in as much as that we were actually able to use the mechanical, or the lion's share of the mechanical items from another Sturmgeschütz in order to actually restore ours. That was very, very useful indeed. And in addition to that, we managed to secure a running engine that had been stored in an army depot for years and years and years. It had actually been kept very, very well under wraps. Absolutely no rust, running wonderful. Obviously we stripped it down and rebuilt the engine. And on the gearbox side, we had a very, very good condition gearbox in which only one of the gears had been crushed. But we broke all of that down. It's fairly straightforward. And we replaced all the bearings and restored it. That wasn't the most challenging item of or aspect rather, of the restoration was the research, because we only have 3 known MEAG survivors in the world. There are 26 or so surviving Sturmgeschütz, of which we studied 15 very intensively, but only 3 of those are actually MEAGs. The rest of them are all Alkets, and Alket was the primary producer, or let's say assembler, and MEAG was a let's say a secondary producer. The problem with all of that now is actually finding a MEAG that hasn't been touched, and in Finland they've been worked on a great deal. So there's really very little of an archaeological value there to use in order to restore something, because you then get snarled up with post-war alterations and finish alterations that really didn't help at all. So if you looked at there is one in a Canadian museum, a MEAG that was on a range that hadn't been touched, that still retained its paint in the 1970s, but has subsequently been painted, been done up and everything else. We've ignored the later, let's say, images of that, and we've actually focused in on the earlier images of that. And it's about 3 or 4 months before ours in terms of its assembly date. So we had that as a sort of as a starting card. And then Bovington, in the form of David Fletcher, has a series of wonderful original photographs which are actually taken of a TT, let's say a Shrivenham investigative, let's say, breakdown vehicle that was actually brought back from Europe to investigate, and that is any number of photographs of that from all different angles, and it's again a MEAG. So that was very, very useful indeed as well. And then there's one more survivor, which is actually in a place called Meppen in Germany, which you can't get access to because it's a German military base, but there's a huge amount of photographs existing on that vehicle.